Okay, so let us let us start with today's class. Okay, so in last class we were looking at the significations of various houses. So let us just revise what we did from house 1 to we completed from house 1 to house 7. So let us just quickly revise the significations of these houses. We will complete all the 12 houses today. Okay. So the first house, the significations of first house are physical body. Like this is the house which represents our ascendant, and ascendant is represents the time when we are actually born. Okay, so this house represents our physical body. Represents our time of birth. It represents our personality. It represents our, like, our physical appearance. It represents new beginning, like whatever you are beginning. Anything, since this is the time of birth, this is the beginning of your life, so it represents new beginning. In fact, whenever we see any event occurring, there could be any other house which is a significator of that particular event, but if it is related, somehow related to first house, then the chances of that event to happen increases. This we will understand further when we'll go to the predictive part. But whenever first house, and let's say we are thinking of an event like, let's say, marriage. So when seventh house and first house somehow gets related, seventh house represents marriage. First house represents self. Whose marriage will that be? Your marriage, right? So there should be a relation of first house and seventh house. So first house is, that is why, very important. It should be related to different houses. Then the chances of that event to happen increases, because it represents you. So these are the significations of first house. Now going to second house. Now, as I told in the last class also, these houses basically represent the, sorry, so these houses basically represent some area of our lives. Okay, so, like, whole zodiac is like divided into rashis, and these are also divided into houses. So in 12 houses whole zodiac is divided. So each house represents some area of our life, and all the areas of our life are covered within these 12 houses. Although we are just reading few significations, but each house has more than 100 significations. If you will read different classes, you will find some common significations, and then you will also find some significations which are written in that particular book only. Okay, now again, uh, depending on the method you are using, like, we are right now we are studying Parashari astrology, but if we are using some other methodology like KP or Bhrigunandi Nadi or something else, then there will be some variation in the significations of the houses. But every methodology is complete in itself. Okay, we should not say that since these are not the significations in Parashari, we will not use the significations. No, if it is given in Bhrigunandi Nadi, then use the Bhrigunandi, make the predictions as per the Bhrigunandi Nadi system. Okay, use those significations for Bhrigunandi Nadi system only. Do not mix it with Parashari. Although you will definitely find like 70 to 80% significations are same, but then there is difference also. Okay, so what we are studying is as per Parashari system. Okay, so second house represents our wealth. So this is known as Dhan house. First house is known as Tanu. Tanu means Tan, means our body, self. Second is represents wealth, Dhan house. So it represents the accumulative wealth, the wealth that you have in your bank account, that you are able to accumulate. It also represents the family, your your mother's family, your father's family, your bloodline, even your wife. So all those things comes under, although especially wife is represented by seventh house, but your whole family in general is represented by second house. Second house also represents your speech, your food also is represented by second house. Let's say if second house is not good, you might not be getting you might be getting cold food, you might not be eating freshly prepared hot food, you might be eating cold food. So this could also be represented by second house. Then right eye, like you can see, right eye is represented by second house and left eye can be represented by 12th house. So we can divide the horoscope in two parts, and right side of the body parts can be represented by the houses at the left side, like here to my left, and left side body part can be represented by the houses from these 12 to 8. Okay, so again we can each house also represents some body parts also, and this is widely used in medical astrology. Okay, so now coming to the third house. So second house also represents face, it also represents early education, and it represents many other things also. So coming to third house is known as Sahaj house. It represents your parakram. In Hindi we say parakram, courage, effort. How much effort are you putting? So if there are malefics in third house, you need to put a lot of effort. Okay. It also represents younger siblings. So the sibling which is just next to you, younger to you, is represented by third house. It represents short travels, it represents communications. Now communications, like in the second house represents speech, but third house represents communication. So third house communication means it could be email, it could be written communication, or it could be communication in any form, but second house particularly represents speech. Okay, coming to the body parts, it represents hands, it represents shoulders, then it also represents writing, it also represents short travels. So if you want to be a writer, you need to have good planets, or you need to have strong third house, because third house represents writing. Now coming to fourth house. Now fourth house, now 1 4 7 10, as we discussed earlier also, these are the Kendra houses. So these are the most auspicious houses. Okay, now you will understand as we'll read the signification that why they are known as very auspicious houses as well. Like first house is the most important house, as we discussed, because it is a Kendra as well as Kona as well. So first house is definitely one of the most important, like the most important house of the horoscope. Then coming to fourth house represents your home, your mother, like anything related to your comfort, your natural comfort. Like you are most comfortable at home, you are most comfortable with your mother. The child is most comfortable with his mother. It also represents the fixed assets like land. It represents domestic happiness. How is the atmosphere at your home? It represents happiness in general, like do you remain happy or not? As coming to the body parts, it represents chest, it represents heart. It also represents education, like up to 12th level or something. Now coming to the fifth house. Fifth house basically represents higher education. It represents children, progeny. So this house is known as Putra, progeny house. Fourth house is known as Bandhu or home. Fifth house is known as Putra. So it represents your child, it represents your intelligence, it represents romantic affairs, it represents speculations as well, it represents Purva Punya, like your past life punyas. It is said that more auspicious the fifth house is, that means you have done a lot of, you are carrying a lot of punyas from your past life in this uh, prarabdha. So you have a lot of in this prarabdha you have a lot of punyas. Okay. Any doubts still here? Okay. Now, fifth house is again one of the konas. So there are three konas, 1, 5, 9. So these three are the most auspicious houses of the horoscope. 1, 5, 9. So fifth house represents one of the kona. Now coming to sixth house. Now sixth house is one of the trick house or duksthana. So why it is known as duksthana? Because it is known, this house represents rog, ripu, rin. Rog means diseases, ripu means enemy, and rin means debt. So this is the house which represents some negative significations of your horoscope, but it also represents service or job. So let's say someone wants to see how, like someone has ketu here. Ketu represents cuts, it represents discontinuity. So that person, if ketu is influencing his sixth house, that means he is likely to discontinue his job, or is likely to have break in jobs also. But then 10th house of career should also be connected, and first house should also be connected. Let's say in transit, first house, 10th house, and sixth house are connected. So there should be a event related to the job. But if first, 10th, and 7th are connected, 7th house represents business, 10th house represents career, any professional thing, and first house represents selves. So when if 1, 10, and 7 are being connected, that means there could be a event related to business. Okay. Now it depends which planets are being connected. If it is a benefic planet, it is a malefic planet, it could be a positive or negative event. But this is how it is used for prediction. Okay. So sixth house represents enemies, it represents debts, it represents diseases, it also represents litigation or court cases. So let's say someone has a very good sixth house. Okay. So it and it is very likely like he could become a lawyer. Or if it's sixth house, 10th house, and one first house is connected, so and somehow other planets which are representing litigation or law are also connected, then he is likely to become a lawyer. Okay. So now coming to seventh house. Seventh house is opposite to first house. So it is opposite to you. First house is you, seventh house is your spouse, your life partner, or your business partner as well, or your business as well. So any partnership is represented by seventh house. Seventh house is one of the, again, it represents one of the kendra. Okay. Whenever whenever a native is coming for you for consultation, most probably like there are maximum chances that his, like it will be about 1, 4, 7, 10. These four houses are the contains the most general significations. So seventh house represents marriage, seventh house represents your spouse, seventh house represents your business, seventh house represents your business partner. It also represents your physical desires, it represents kidneys. Kidneys are also represented by Venus. Okay. And Venus also represents your spouse, like especially your wife. Like for husband is represented by Jupiter, wife is represented by Venus. So we will learn the significations of various planets as well, and then we will connect the significations of houses and the planets. Okay. So this much we covered in the previous class, from first house till seventh house. Any confusion till now? Okay. So let us continue. Anyone wants to say something? So let us continue. So now coming to eighth house. Now eighth house is the most mysterious house of the horoscope. It represents mysterious things. It represents hidden things. Like it represents the event which are actually hidden. Like you have hidden it from rest of the world. Your secrets. It represents scandals. It also represents death or longevity. Like if you calculate your, like there is a procedure, very advanced procedure, through which you can actually calculate the exact age of the native. Okay, so eighth house is used for that particular procedure. It represents occult sciences, like it also represents astrology, any occult science, tantras. It represents scandals. It represents transformation. Now, transformation means if eighth house is connected, then that means there will be a transformation. Now, transformation could be positive, like it is generally taken in the positive term. Like maybe you are losing your job, but then it is for you to understand that this particular job is not for you, and you are getting you might be getting a, like you have to work hard, maybe improve your profile, and then you might be getting a much better job. So that is a kind of transformation. Or maybe you are transform, like you are in a bad relationship, and then you are, that relationship has come to an end, and then you have transformed yourself, and now you are getting into a better relationship. So these are also transformations which might look, like which might not look positive in first instance, but later on in the life you will realize that that was an actually a positive transformation. It represents sudden events, even accidents. Like if there is a sudden accident, then that is also represented by eighth house. It represents reproductive organs. It represents inheritance. Yes, it very important uh, signification of this house is inheritance that you get, money you get, in money, land, whatever you get from inheritance. So now coming to ninth house. Now, eighth house was again one of the Trika house. Why? Because it represents a lot of negative things, like sudden accidents, scandals, all those things. That's why it is also one of the Trika house, or a negative house. It is considered as a slightly negative house of the horoscope. Although, like no house is negative as such, but if you compare with all other houses, yes, it represents some negative events of your life. Now coming to ninth house. Ninth house is again one of the most auspicious house. Like after first house, the next most auspicious house of the horoscope would be ninth house. Okay, the ninth house represents luck. It represents your father. It represents guru. It represents higher knowledge, the real knowledge, like the knowledge which is associated with Jupiter, the spiritual knowledge kind of thing. It represents dharma. It represents religion. It represents philosophy. It also represents short journey. Okay, which house represents? Sorry, this represents long journey. Which house represents short journey? We just saw
Second.
second. Are you sure? Second में तो
Sorry,
नहीं है.
third.
हाँ,
Sorry, third,
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 third.
third, third. See, third, short travels. Okay, so opposite house represents, see, ninth is opposite to third, right? Seventh to third, or opposite to third. So it represents long journeys. Okay, it represents thighs, like as a body part, it represents thighs. So basically, if you want to see luck, how much luck are you carrying? So it is represented in ninth house. Father, guru, religion, dharma, philosophical things, all these significations are represented by ninth house. So this is, if you see, these are all positive significations. Okay, so that's why it is regarded as one of the most auspicious house. Basically, because it represents luck. So if ninth house is has a lot influence of lot of benefic planets, that means you are carrying a lot of good luck. Now coming to 10th house. Now 10th house represents, this is the house of career. So whenever there is a native which is asking a question about career, So because you'll face a lot of, like, these days everyone is worried about his or her career. So 10th house is the first house that we see. Okay, then if he is into business, then we will see 7th house. If he is into job, a salaried person, then we will analyze the 6th house. Okay, and then if we have to see an event in the transit, then we see how is it being getting connected with first house, because first house is self. Okay, so 10th house is the house of career, it is the house of profession, it is house of fame, it is house of authorities, like whoever, whatever authorities that you are, like like your boss also is also represented by 10th house. It basically represents karma. 10th house basically represents your karma. Okay, 9th house represents dharma and 10th house represents karma, like whatever action you are doing. Okay, so again this is one of the kendras, and it is again one of the most important houses, and mostly you will get a lot of questions, and in fact you yourself might be looking at your own 10th house many a times, analyzing it to understand how your career, in which area your career is oriented, and all those things. Okay, what, how is your relationship with your boss, because boss represented is represented by 10th house. Okay, so all these things are represented by 10th house. Now coming to 11th house. Now 11th house, so 10th house is basically the house of karma, right? It is said karma. 11th house is the house of gains, labha. It says labha. So 11th house represents any gains, it represents incomes, it represents profits, it represents elder siblings. See, the third house is, see, this is first house. So if you go to third house, it will represents younger siblings, and if you go to 11th house, it will represents elder siblings. Okay, so elder siblings and friends. So every house also represents some relatives or any relation with you, any human being which is related to you. Okay, so 11th house represents elder siblings, it represents friends, it basically represents the network you have. It also represents desires, whether your, if your 11th house has a lot of benefic planets, has influence of Rahu, or see, Rahu also represent desires, or it has influence of good benefic planets, that means your desires are going to be fulfilled, or you will have a lot of desires which are likely to get fulfilled. So 11th house is a house of gains, it is a house of profits. Okay, so all those things are represented by 11th house. Like in last class I told you, so if your 11th house, like 11th house has benefic planets, but so that means you will have a lot of income, but second house has malefic planets, that means your, it it represents accumulative wealth. So 11th house has lot of, like, you will have a lot of income, but you will not be accumulate that wealth. And if 12th house is somehow related, so that means 12th house represents expenses. So that means you will be like you will be expending all those, whatever you, there will be a lot of income, but there will be a lot of expenses as well. Okay, so 11th house represents gains, incomes, profits. Coming to the relatives, it represents elder siblings, it represents friends, it represents networks, it represents fulfillment of desires, and it represents ankles. As a body part, it represents ankles. Now coming to the 12th house. 12th house is the last house. So we, it represents moksha, we are done with all our karma, so it represents the last thing the soul wants is moksha. It represents moksha, it represents loss, it represents, so it is loss of body. Okay, so first house is you, 12th house is your loss. It represents isolation, it represents expenses, it represents foreign lands as well. So in, like in old times, like if someone is has to live in a foreign land that was not expected to, like, it is taken as a negative event because he has to live away from his homeland, he has to live away from his family. Like, and those days, traveling to a like traveling was not so easy. You have to spend many days to reach a different place. So it was not an auspicious event. But these days, if someone has is settled in US or UK or somewhere, it is expected to, like, it is taken as a very good event. So again, 12th house represents those foreign thing, getting settled in foreign lands and all that. So it represents that. It represents moksha, it represents bed pleasures as well. And as per the body part, it represents feet. So these are the signification. These are the direct significations of these 12 houses. Did you get these significations? Because these are the direct ones. Now there will be some indirect significations also, which I'll be explaining now. But this part is clear. I hope there is no confusion in this part till now. Okay. Now there are some indirect significations also. Now what do you mean by indirect or derived significations? Now, for example, seventh house is your spouse. Okay. Now, which house is second to seventh house? Can anyone tell? Which house is second to seventh house?
Eighth house.
Eighth house. So, eighth house will represent, this is the second to seventh house. Now, second house represents family. Second house, see here, one of the significations of the second house is family. So, eighth house represents spouse family, because seventh house is spouse. So second house to seventh house will represent spouse family. Are you getting this? Did you get this? How eighth house represents spouse families? Uh, if you can please unmute yourself and tell, it will be easier for me.
Yes, sir. Understanding.
Okay. So eighth house will represent spouse family. Now, so ninth house represents father,
Father.
right? And 10th house represents career, right? So if you have to see father's career, which will be that house? Father's career, can
Tenth
anyone
house.
tell?
10th house.
No, 10th house represents your career.
Okay. Father's.
Now you have to see father's career. Which house will that represent?
Seventh.
Seventh. Seventh is, how did you calculate seventh?
So I calculated from 10th to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10th is from the ninth. I see in the 10th house.
From the ninth, 10th is sixth house.
Okay. Sorry.
So see,
Sorry.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I,
Ah,
I missed the counting. Yeah.
yeah,
Sixth house.
yeah. I understand. Like, I'll just let me just calculate it for you. First is ninth
One,
itself, 2, 3,
two,
4,
three.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So father's career will be sixth house. Okay. So this is how we can actually find multiple signification of each house. Like, for example, mother's illness. Mother means fourth. Now illness means diseases is for, like, signification of sixth house. So sixth from fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Loss of job. So if job is 10, and what is loss? Which house represents
12th,
in-laws? 12th. So
12th,
what is 12th from 10th? Ninth house.
9th.
Okay. So loss of job is kind of ninth house. So similarly, we can actually represent a lot of we can find a lot of significations from this. Like this is house of your in-laws kind of, right? Because this is spouse family. So eighth house also becomes house of in-laws, right? So so this is how we can actually get a lot of find a lot of significations relating house to house. Okay. And this part is clear to you? Any confusion in this part? In house counting, any confusion? Because for house counting, always count that house as first, then the next house is second, and the previous house will always be 12th. Like, so any confusion in this part?
So I just want to. Okay, so for the loss of means luck kid with vehicle,
Hmm.
vehicle is 4,000,
Hmm.
and then luck is basically your 11th house. So
Luck
we
is
need to
ninth
check.
house. 11th
Okay,
house
so
is
luck is
gain.
9.
11th house is
Gain.
gain. You can say if
So
you want to find gain of vehicles, like gain due to vehicles, maybe something like you might be in transport business. So if you want to
okay,
find whether there will be gain in gain of like gain through vehicles, so then you can go from 11th to 4th house. So that will be second
we-
house.
so in this case, luck with vehicle is 4 plus 9. From the fourth, we need to check.
Yeah, but don't do 4 plus 9. 4 plus 9 minus 1.
Okay, minus one.
If you go 4
So that
plus
is
9,
8. 8.
4 plus 9,
Okay,
so
got
you will go reach first house. No, sorry, 12th house. We'll reach 12th house. So that's luck with vehicles. We'll reach 12th house. How? You'll have to go luck with vehicles. Vehicle is fourth. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
3,
5,
4.
6, 7, 8, 9. You'll reach 12th house.
Got it.
Okay. But if you want to find gain from vehicles, so you will you will have to go 11 houses from
4,
fourth house. So
4 plus 11 minus 1.
yeah.
So that means 4 plus 10. So
So
from
this
the
is
fourth house,
14.
10th.
14
Yeah.
means 2 only, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah. Got it.
okay. Okay, so I think significations are done. There is another concept which is known as bhavat bhavam. We will convert that. Wow, we will understand it in one of the later classes. In next class, I will again take the planets. So we have covered the significations of houses. Then I will cover planets again. We have covered planets one, but that was a basic introduction. Now I will again cover the planets once again, and we will see the significations and how the like we will also see the friends, how the planets are related to friends, then the exaltation, debilitation, and all those things. Okay, because now we have read rashis also. So now I will try to relate the planet with the rashis. Okay, so I'm done for today. Any questions?
Thank you. Nothing from mine. Thank you.
Rajesh ji, Mr. Viknesh, any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay then, so I'll see you day after tomorrow. Thank you.